Hello and welcome to TrishRockTV and Energy Shift, changing energy, shifting perceptions. This week on the show, we have the very mindful Montse Azaguirre. Montse is the founder of Mindful Living. And after a period of suffering postnatal anxiety, she turned to meditation and mindfulness. This was like a light bulb had turned on, and she could lean into the light and regain her purpose in a sense of calm and joy for life. Through her work, Montse teaches others the power of being present, manifesting your soul's purpose, and opening your mind to just this present moment in order to let the universe guide you. Montse also has a YouTube channel where she interviews others with similar mindsets, for example, Pilates, organic farming, and yoga. The channel is also a one-stop retreat for the mind with meditations, affirmations, and more. Bringing out the best in people has always been Montse's mission. As a mindfulness teacher and with over 20 years experience in the television industry, she has had the privilege of working on incredible shows and directing her own work, but the best part is working with people from all walks of life, from presenters, creators, creatives, inspirational young people to business leaders. She would love to help others get mindful and get the best out of themselves. Owner, director, Montserrat Media and mindfulliving.com, motivational speaker, mindfulness educator and video producer. It's my absolute honor to welcome to the show, Montse. Hello.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here, Trish. Thank you for inviting me. What an honor, honestly.
You're welcome. So tell us about your journey with mindfulness. Where did it all start for you?
Yes. So as you just mentioned, I actually started in television over 20 years ago. I know I don't look that old. And I have been on the biggest shows. So I worked on The Voice. I've worked on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. But I never realized how difficult and heart-consuming being a parent would be. So when I gave birth to my two boys, I went through a period of postnatal anxiety straight after my second child. And honestly, I've worked in the jungle at 3 o'clock in the morning, with leeches and spiders and snakes and celebrities who are hungry. And yet this being a parent was way harder than anything I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
And so I obviously wanted to find as many tools that I could to help me through that period. So for me, I found mindfulness. I found meditation and mindfulness pretty much simultaneously.
Yes.
And obviously Deepak Chopra, Gabrielle Bernstein, Wayne Dyer. So we're talking about, Wayne Dyer I should say, we're talking about finding a peace within ourselves. Yes. And for me, with the postnatal anxiety, it really is finding peace. Yes. Because a lot of people think that it's similar to depression, but it's not. For a mum, when you go through postnatal anxiety, you're actually worried all the time. And you're worried that something will happen to the children. You will never harm them. It's the opposite. You think something will happen, you'll get hurt, and they'll be in trouble.
Right.
So it's a really debilitating situation. Yeah. And I couldn't be alone. I wanted to have family and friends with me at all times, and obviously that's impossible. So I find the mindfulness really gave me a space to just reset, recalibrate every single moment if I had to. Yeah. Sometimes I did, just to be present.
Yes.
And so that was the biggest lesson I think I've ever learnt in my life.
Yeah. And did you find that the presence really helps to dissipate any of that fear because you're in the moment, you're not in the future or the past?
Absolutely. And obviously, the thing with any kind of anxiety or depression is that your mind is racing. So you're living in your mind, you're not living in this moment. And so you're thinking about what happened previously, as you say, and what could happen in the future. Yeah. But you're also doing some really unhealthy things. You're judging yourself consistently. So you're constantly judging yourself. And one of the big things about mindfulness is the non-judging rule. You just don't judge yourself. You don't judge anyone else, and you don't judge yourself. Yeah. And also being more compassionate with ourselves, because we are living in a very oh, how can I put it, volatile sometimes world. And compassion is sometimes the last thing that people think about, because we're trying to be tough and hard and get through it and push harder and make that, you know, big deal or whatever it is. But we forget we are made of this beautiful heart center, like a beautiful soul's inside us.
Yeah.
And nothing difficult, nothing hard is actually going to appease it.
No, but this is generational, you know, let's just push through and be, you know, the parent that we're meant to be because it's in that box and all of this.
Yes.
Push. But yeah, it doesn't really create any peace.
No, not at all. The opposite, in actual fact.
Absolutely. And I think it really doesn't create any peace in our children either. And, you know, that sometimes is the objective, isn't it? It's like, let me create all this structure. I'll push for the structure and the children will be peaceful. And it doesn't work.
And because they're really intuitive. Children are incredibly intuitive because they haven't lost that gorgeous childlike nature. They're still children. And to be honest, their souls are working at maximum capacity, you know. They can listen and hear things that we wouldn't even dream about listening out for. Yeah. And so they're super intuitive. You know, even my children, they are very sweet boys and they're boys, but I've always taught them that you don't have to be tough, that you can be kind. And in fact, if they're not kind, I'm pretty disappointed. You know, I want them to understand that kindness and compassion to other people is number one. Yeah. And then competition and all those other things, that's great. But, you know, if you're not kind to yourself and not generous to someone else, nothing else can flow.
No, and the truth of the matter is that the energy behind the tough man is that fear of emotion. So,
exactly, and showing it, right? Yeah. And so it's a very difficult space to be in if you're a man, I think. But
a little bit, but it's about leadership and, as you say, compassion and connection, and it's not about and compassion's got to start here for the men and women. It's about being just showing up as yourself, but it's difficult to do that if you're not in a mindful space.
Absolutely. Just be right now. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you help people with their mindfulness? We went through a few of your the ways that, you know, your modalities that people can reach out and connect with you. When you're working with someone, do you predominantly, you know, working with people with that anxiety with children because you can relate to them? Is that kind of your main area of work, or you help all sorts of people with mindfulness?
I help anyone that needs it, and that's the basics. I think that obviously my background, so I have a two-pronged approach here. So, you know, for example, one of my clients came to me because she wanted to be confident on camera. Yeah. But when we started, because she wanted her own travel show, which we've actually created subsequently. But what she discovered when I created that course was I bring in mindfulness. Because if you are not present in the moment and comfortable with yourself and non-judgmental of how you look, how you sound, then you're never going to be truly happy on camera or off camera. No. And so I bring in this mindfulness that says, you know what, let's just start from where we are right now. Yeah. And how do you feel about yourself? And how do you want people to perceive you? Because those two things are very different. Yes. And sometimes we're much harder on ourselves, and more than likely we are much harder on ourselves than we are on someone else. And what's funny is we accept a lot more traits in someone else that's potentially negative than within ourselves. So I talk to them about accepting yourself, how you are right this moment, that you don't need to look like a beautiful model, because even the models have got things going on, you know?
Oh, yes.
And you have to be compassionate to yourself, and also don't push too hard. The non-striving principle in mindfulness is really important as well, because we're constantly pushing so hard. You know, I want to keep up with the Joneses, or I want to look like the person down the street. Can you make me sound like that woman on TV? Well, no, I can't. But that's actually the beauty of this. There's a beautiful quote, and I don't even know who said it, but I will never forget it, that there are no mistakes on the universal factory floor.
No, absolutely
and
not.
Every single one of us is here for a reason and a purpose. And it could be as simple as being the best friend you could be.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, there might be just a few souls that you have to connect with that will completely change their world when they meet you.
Yes.
And that alone could be your whole purpose. And so I try and let mums know when I speak, I do a lot through Instagram for the mums, because I find that as mums, we feel ashamed that we aren't getting on with it, that we can't seem to be fully in love with the process.
Yeah.
And so we judge ourselves and we don't tell anyone that we've got problems. I mean, I didn't until I started having a panic attack, and obviously the anxiety kicked in.
And you had to.
I didn't tell anyone. Yeah, well, I only told my mum, and even then it was only my mum and obviously my husband.
Yeah.
But I didn't tell any other women because I thought, oh my God, they're going to think I'm a failure. You know, I should have this. Everyone wants a child, right? Everyone will love their child. It's a natural thing. But it's not a matter of not loving them. It's a matter of loving yourself at the same time.
Yeah, and that's why, you know, people like Gabby Bernstein and Constance Hall have really got such a massive following because they're honest about it. You know, they have their days where they're like, you know what, I just don't want to put up with this shit anymore. Someone else take care of the kids today. I can't do it. I'm too tired, right? And they're honest about it, and they have those days where they've got that anxiety or the postnatal depression, and they're just opening up about it. And I think there used to be, you know, there's a view, and just in our lifetime, a lot of that has come from, you know, the 40s, 50s, 60s, where you just got on with being a housewife and a mother, and you just did what you had to do. But, you know, it has been a real generational thing. But, you know, over the generations, there was family support. There used to be the village.
Yes, the village is gone.
The village is gone, and, you know, just people that don't feel supported. So, yeah, I mean, it's really important work to be doing. And, you know, just to, I think your work in letting people know that they can just be themselves, because even you would have found in your movie industry career, I mean, even the people we put on pedestals that are stars or whatever, they've got just as many insecurities as the rest.
Or more. And that's, I think that people, you know, I really, I think the idea of Instagram and social media and the instant fame thing, I think that's really lovely, but I think there's a really big double-edged sword there. I think it's really problematic because, you know, I worked on a show called Making Couples Happy a few years ago with the ABC. And we had normal couples coming in talking about their lives and what made them unhappy and what made them happy. And social media was actually really coming up front saying, well, our friends are doing amazing things and look at me, I'm not. So why am I so miserable? Well, hang on a minute. You know, as a psychologist was saying to them, that's just you're perceiving that. It's a perception that their life is great. No one's going to put their fight with their husband on Instagram, right, or Facebook. And so I think that because we are very, I think we're a bit lost. There's a lot of lost souls. There's souls that are in there, but they're lost within the realm of this world that we're living in. And so we're all trying to pretend that we're doing great. We're doing great. Everything's great. And then it's the problem is we're actually not. And that's when you'll find the anxiety and the depression coming through in a lot of people. Yeah. And then obviously the ease of finding alcohol or whatever else it is that you can use to numb it makes it really difficult. And so I really love Gabrielle Bernstein, and I've actually got her newest book now. Today I actually bought it in the city. And I love her because, much like myself, she's now a mum as well. Yeah. And she talked about having postnatal anxiety, you know, it was last year that she had it. Yeah. And it's not something to be taken lightly. And I think that sometimes if you've never gone through it, if you've never known someone or seen someone on the front line going through that moment where everything is black, then it's really easy to judge that mom and say, oh, she's just worried about things too much. She just needs to go and get a cleaner and someone to take care of the kid for 2 hours. Well, it doesn't work that way. No. It really doesn't. And it can be the darkest times in your life. And so for me, the mindfulness, and also, you know, I talk about the fact that I think I was meant to have the postnatal anxiety because I needed to have this great metamorphosis.
Absolutely. It's kind of going into your purpose now, isn't it?
Exactly.
And that happens with what we experience in life is usually what we then go and teach. And, you know, that's another thing that really helps people come back to that mindfulness of being okay with whatever's going on with them, because it's just part of the process of growth.
Absolutely. And sometimes the process can be very difficult. Yeah. But, you know, I think that if we keep ignoring it, it's like that little pebble that keeps hitting you in the head.
Yeah.
And the pebble becomes bigger and bigger until it's a brick wall. And I always say I don't want anyone to hit that brick wall, because I hit the brick wall and it wasn't particularly pleasant. No. And if we're not the support of my husband and my parents, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be in the space where I am now, because I thought I was one person. I recognized myself as one set of, skills and experiences before children. And then when they came in, everything went topsy-turvy.
Yeah.
And that metamorphosis allowed me to basically open up to my real purpose, which is to help others.
Yeah.
And, I use video as a source to do that.
Yes.
So I think that everything happened for a reason. I was in television for all that time and listening to stories and then allowing other people to tell stories. I did a short film many moons ago now. And one of the lines that I wrote was my actor said, he was really angry and he was saying, everyone wants the answers, but no one's asking the right questions.
Absolutely.
And I think that's still happening. I think we're all asking the wrong questions. Like, it's not about how much money do I need or how many cars do I want, but who do you want to be? Who do you really want to feel?
Yeah, because all the questions are about the external. They're not about what's in here, and that's the different kind of question. And that's the question I was about to ask you. How are you incorporating now those two lives, the media, the television, the videoing, and your mindfulness? How are you melding that together?
Yes. So now I basically, if you've got on the YouTube channel, and also it's on the mindfulliving.com channel, I create meditations.
Yeah.
And they're awesome meditations. They're basically like a 2-minute short immersive mindful meditation where I guide you through one scene. So it could be a flower, with an ant across it. It could be, we did one with a bumblebee. We did one underwater just recently. We went underwater and we filmed that. And so I guide you, because there's so many people have said to me, Montse, I can't meditate. I can't sit still, right? And my imagination isn't working. So I just can't do it. I said, no, you can do 2 minutes of me guiding you visually through something.
Yeah.
And so I make it really calm and peaceful. And we tell that story through those videos that you can actually meditate, because all it is focus.
And even if you're a busy mum, you can take 2 minutes.
And 2 minutes is nothing. And honestly, the biggest thing I do now with my husband and my children is we meditate. So whether that's in the morning or during the afternoon when the boys, are with me, come home from school, I try and meditate with them. And it's a guided meditation that we find, you can find so many on YouTube, but we do a little guided meditation and it kind of recalibrates us for the day.
Yeah.
And the other thing I'm doing now as well is I'm writing a book, which is, as we've chatted about this before. So the book is obviously my journey through postnatal anxiety and the skills and the tools that I've accumulated in order to get through it. And not only get through it, but I think in many parts blossom into an even more whole and rounded human.
Yes.
Because I now recognize, and you would understand this, I now recognize that it is about body, mind, and spirit. It's not just one part of that.
Absolutely. It's going to be a very powerful book. I'm really going to pull people up out of the mud.
Allow them to understand they're not alone. Like that's the biggest message, really.
It's also going to allow other people who haven't had it, because I didn't go through that, allow them to understand what other people actually go through with that, because, you know, I was probably one of the ones who'd say to people, just get on with it, right? I wouldn't do it now because I'm more mindful, but, you know, back in the day, you know, because I was running a business, I just got on with things, right? And I would have been one of those people. Just get on with it. But yeah, I do understand now, because I am a little bit more mindful and centered in the now, and a lot more compassion for people who go through these things. So I think, you know, the book will be powerful for anybody going through it, but also other people who don't understand it.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I hope so. I really do, because I'm putting my heart and soul into this book. And it's because I had a couple of mums, strangers, complete strangers, come up to me when I was in the middle of this battle within myself.
Yeah.
And out of nowhere, they just saw something in my eyes, and they were being so kind to me. You know, it may be I was in tears in the middle of a Westfield shopping centre. And I thought, well, I needed those women. I don't know where they came from. They were like angels that just kind of plopped into the earth for me. Just for that moment, you know.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, if I can just be an angel for one mum, if one mum reads this book,
yes,
or reads one paragraph of it, oh, I get that. Or okay, I'm not doing so badly, because you know, I have got this, or I don't have it that bad, or something, because you feel very lonely and very isolated. Because again, women are meant to be these days everything. We're meant to be, you know, power brokers, and we're meant to be super mums, and we're meant to be hot straight after having babies, and that's just silly, you know. It's incredibly silly. And I think we need to just be more mindful of being the most beautiful, compassionate soul you can be right now.
Absolutely. And authenticity. And this year has been about authenticity, and virtually everybody I've had on the show this year, we've discussed that a little bit, and people are moving into that authenticity. And because there's a lot of like-minded people around now, they feel more comfortable being that uniqueness. And I just still find it interesting that on an intellectual level, we know that there is no one like us.
Yes, I know. Hello.
And yet we're so scared to be us.
Incredible, isn't it? And I think it's because we are not, if we started to just turn off all social media, all television, and we weren't watching the Kardashians. I actually watched it the first time last night at a hotel we were staying at. And I was in stitches.
I've never seen it.
I thought my husband couldn't even stand it, but I was in stitches thinking, this is the funniest thing ever. Like, they're just clones. And I can see why young girls would want to be like them, because they look like they've got it together. They don't.
No, they don't.
They just don't. No one has it together. No one has it together. Not even the most powerful person in the world has it together. You know, there's always something you don't know about someone, and you will more than likely never know about it.
And I think some of the people that look, you know, perfect in society, you know, with the looks and whatever else we've branded as perfect, they have a lot of pressure on them, and they probably suffer from a lot of anxiety as well, because they're expected to, you know, be an example of that perfection every day. And so, you know, it's just as tough on them as, you know, as
anyone else.
So so with your media work and your video production, I know that you still help people with that as well. So if there are people watching who need services that you offer, just tell us a little bit about what you would offer businesses or corporate, or even business people, you know, wanting different show reels and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can do anything, because we have a great team here who are prepared to, you know, go above and beyond. So we basically have we've just finished doing a second episode, going into the third episode of a travel show here locally in Queensland for a client of mine. As I said, she'd come in to do camera confidence and ended up saying, let's do a travel show. So
why not?
Yeah, why not? I've done fantastic. We've done commercials. So one of my clients is the Brain Foundation here actually in Australia, which is fantastic. I've got hotels, so 5-star hotels, 3-star hotels. We do corporates as well. I just did an induction video. So we do so many different things for our clients. So it's not always just the mindfulness thing. sometimes they just want someone that's had a lot of experience that can come in, get it done, and get out. Because in our industry, we have to be really fast and professional and make people comfortable. And I think that's probably my superpower.
Absolutely. And it's great, really, that you've got your media company, you've got your mindfulness company, and you do work and clients in both of those, but you also bring that together and really help people with both. So I think it's really lovely, and it's really interesting, as you say before, just how life rolls out all of this, because sometimes you just don't understand why you're doing something, and then all of a sudden your career changes and you go, well, that was a waste. No, it's never a waste, because it always ends up being another part of the jigsaw.
Absolutely. And you would know that too. Obviously, you've come together with so much different experiences.
Absolutely.
And created this incredible platform. And, I really do thank you, Trish, because I think we need more enlightening people, because we're always constantly going to be enlightening our virtues and our experiences and our thoughts. There's never going to be a day where everything's just bright light, because there's just so much of the other coming at us.
And it's true. I think all of us, no matter how confident we look in anything, have all started somewhere. And I was a DJ at one of the community radio stations for quite a few years, and I used to produce some of the ads and things, and that really got me used to my voice. And then I started my videoing back in 2013 or something, and I didn't have anything. I just had a ladder and some blue tacks, and my phone was on the ladder at 3 o'clock when the sun came in, because I didn't have a light. But
I love it.
And I used to have the script, and now I don't need any of that. But you've got to start somewhere, and I think that people just need to be confident. And the thing now is that everybody likes that authenticity. They don't want anything too structured and written word for word. It's like, just get on, give your message, be you. And that attracts people with the energy, and I'm sure that's what you help your clients with when they're in front of the camera.
Absolutely. And you were saying it before, I think that we're really just looking for authenticity. We're looking for that in our TV people, we're looking for that in social media, we're looking for that in our human kind of interactions as well. And I think that, if we be more kind to ourselves, if we're allowing ourselves to be more compassionate to us, and I talk about that in the book, if we're just allowing ourselves to be kinder, then we'll be kinder to someone else, because it's like a domino effect.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It is a domino effect. And you work a lot with corporate too, and I think it's changing there too, because that was very power driven, and they're all becoming a little bit more authentic as well, and less ego.
Yeah, and I'd like to see more authenticity. Because I used to work at the Commonwealth Bank, and they have their own internal TV network, and I used to be the producer there. Yeah, and so, this was a long time ago. It was about 10 years ago, and there was more about how they wanted people to perceive them.
Yeah.
And look, we were never going to make them look bad. It's just not the way we would run. But it's that the constant wanting to look perfect and structured.
Yes.
And I think that now people want a bank or any other corporate facility that is more human.
Hence why all the credit unions popped up.
Absolutely. And if you look at the ads now, they've got one guy talking in the ads saying the exact message. We don't want to spend money on a big ad. We want to be authentic.
Yeah. Help the community, and we will bank with you as a friend.
Yes, exactly. I know. Isn't that crazy?
It's all just changing. So, Montse, tell me, what do you think, with all of you're still emerging, and you've got a lot of chapters in life left to live, but what do you feel your purpose here is on this planet at this time?
To show people that we are all enlightened beings.
Beautiful.
And if you look at it in a much bigger picture, I'm a soul, you're a soul. We made a contract up there, or wherever you want to call it, to come back to this earth and reincarnate into this particular human with his flesh body in this little puppet thing that we have. And we are here to allow people to see those who maybe haven't got as much experience in past lives or in their own life, or have maybe gone through really bad traumas, that there is beauty and light in the world if you allow it in. Because I think there's such darkness in the world. There's such darkness in the way that people see things. And I have 2 little boys, and like I said, that's the metamorphosis for me. I was spiritual before this. I painted and so forth, and I loved meditation. But, you know, I've had experiences since that have been so spiritual I can't even experience. I can't understand it, you know, logically. But I know that it's the universe giving me signs.
Yes.
So, for example, when I was going through postnatal anxiety, I went and saw a hypnotherapist, and during one of the sessions, my body, I actually, you know, saw I floated above my body, and then I floated above the ceiling, and I floated above the actual roof of the building I was in. And I could see the town that I was staying in at the time. And I just kept going higher and higher and higher until I went into this beautiful warm light, and I had my arms outstretched like little wings. Mm. And there was a moment where I met Source, and it was a moment I will never be able to forget. Because it was pure love. It was pure warmth. Yeah. It was like when people say they have that near-death experience. Yeah. It's something that when you come back from it, you're like, oh, how do I get back there? Because it's so warm. And when you're going through something so tough, you just want to stay in a space that's beauty. But I recognize now that that source, that God source, whatever you want to call it, is already here. Yeah. It's within you. It's in here. And so it just sends you messages through your life and little signals. And if you don't get them, they might go away and then come back again. Yeah. So it's all good and well to say, look, I'm really logical. I don't see what you're talking about because it's never happened to me. Well, it never happened to me either until that moment because I hit rock bottom and went, it can only go up, right? But it was the most incredible up. I've never had such an experience. Yeah. You know, and I have to be very logical in television. I have to be very, you know, matter of fact about things and work things out in a very logical situation and manner and keep things calm. And that was something that I'd never experienced in my life. And, you know, I believe in God, but that was incredible. And so I know that we're all souls here to help each other. Yeah.
And some part of you was asking for that as well. You know, you put your prayers out, you call out, you have that moment at, you know, 3 o'clock in the morning on your knees, just going, please, you know, when you're rock bottom. And so it's a beautiful experience. And so that, that will be in your book too, I imagine.
Definitely. And I think, you know, the biggest thing that I recognize now is that the reality that we live in is exactly that. It's a reality that we've created. Yeah. So each one of us has come to this planet, beautiful little planet called Earth, this ball, with a story and a path. Yeah. And the whole of your journey, the whole of your life is to, you know, discover that story and follow that path. Yeah. And because you never properly, if you believe this, well, I do, we don't actually die. These little vessels, you know, go to Kaputski, but we as souls just go straight back up to source and start this whole thing again. Yes. And so I always say to friends and family, if you guys don't sort this stuff out now, you'll just keep hitting that same rock again. So sort it out. Don't shy away from the tough stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all growing our consciousness. And, you know, we all get there in the end and it's not a race.
It's not a race. It's your own individual journey. That's why we can't compare to someone else, you know. Yeah. And I think trying to compare yourself to anyone is ridiculous. There's enough good and beauty and love for everyone to go around.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to have all the links here for everybody who's listening. Just check out, I've got some pinned posts here for all of the links. So I'm going to pop up your YouTube channel, your mindfulness website. I'll also pop in your Instagram and LinkedIn links there, because you do some really lovely work there, and it'll be great for people to connect with you, especially on Instagram.
Thank you, Trish.
Yeah, my pleasure. And also the links to your media.
Yeah.
Montserrat, for anybody. Actually, I've got some friends who might even be watching right now who need some show reels done. So I might just put the link out there.
Sounds good to me too.
But maybe I need one of those too.
Easy. Thank you so much, Trish. I really appreciate it.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. And we'll have to talk again in the new year when your book comes out.
Yes.
And
thank you. Yes.
we can get together and maybe just read some of it for some people and do a little bit of a question answer kind of show. That will be really good.
Sounds wonderful. Thank you, Trish.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you everybody for watching. I look forward to seeing you next week on the next episode of TrishRockTV. Bye for now.